This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
And welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. The X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern. Then the show is repeated in its entirety from 2 a.m. until 6 a.m. on the Talkstar Radio Network and the X-Zone Broadcast Network and our family of broadcast affiliates right across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, Australia, Asia, India, Africa, and Europe. If you'd like to give us a call, our toll-free number is worldwide 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. X-Zone Nation, my first guest this evening, being Wednesday, March the 3rd, is Vivian Gale. Now, Vivian is also known as Freedom Gale, is a native of Waterbury, Connecticut, but now she celebrates life on the West Coast. Vivian is the fifth of 7 of children and the mother of 5 children, ages 30 through 16, and a 10-year-old grandson. Incest and abandonment greatly impacted Virginia's teen years, forcing her into family, group, and foster care homes from age 13 until 18. The depth and triumphs of her challenges and victories are reflected in the depth of her expressions in music, writing, and in helping others heal through her spiritual gifts. Vivian attributes her spiritual strength to overcoming these things and her love for nature, the Creator, and people. Now, Vivian has had numerous spiritual and psychic experiences since the age of 9. The first experience she recalls being separated from her body when she was nearly drowned and has experienced psychic experiences throughout her life. Other experiences include lucid dreaming, clairsentience, psychometry, involuntary levitation, exorcism, which has been witnessed, performed, and exercised, visions, dreams, premonitions, and predictions. She writes on these topics and more in her book, Fart in the Wind, an emotional and spiritual guide to effective and graceful communication with anybody, which examines the whole experience of man by focusing on our communication with self, God, and others. Joining me now from the West Coast is Vivian Gale, also known as Freedom Gale. And Freedom Gale, welcome to the X-Zone.
Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you for having me.
It's our great pleasure. All I can say, Gale, is that God bless you. You have been through hell and come back again. And
yeah.
Is it your strength and your love and your beliefs that have brought you through and are your inspiration to help others?
Yes, it is. And also a touch of insanity, I think, along the way.
Well, you know what? I often say that insanity is one of the strongest human traits that mankind has never proven yet.
Right, and also it's the mark of a true genius. Some people we thought were insane, like Einstein, and they actually turned out to be geniuses. Not to say that I am. I'm just using a little bit of humor and addressing some of life's topics, and I guess that also helped me to deal with a lot of issues that I faced in my life.
Gale, you and I have to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. Please stand by. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a great pleasure having you with us tonight, and we look forward to sharing the next hour with you here in the X-Zone. Okay. Vivian Gale is our special guest, X-Zone Nation. She's also known as Freedom Gale, and the name of her book is Fart in the Wind. Her website, www.viviangale.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone starts for tonight, Wednesday, March the 3rd, in the year 2010. 1-800-610-7035 is toll-free worldwide. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone on Talkstar and the X Zone Broadcast Network. Don't go away.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards, ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers its certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience journey trance, power animals, helping spirits, sacred space, and life purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. MATSTEIN.com. Exonation, my very special guest this hour is Vivian Gale. She is a counselor, author, inspirational speaker, and addiction music therapist. She's also known as Freedom Gale. Her website is www.viviangale.com. Vivian, throughout your ups and downs through life, have you ever come across angels, demons, and ghosts?
Yes, absolutely. And at first it was something that I never talked about, but I think after television, and people started talking about it more, I started to be more brave, and I found that it gave people encouragement and also inspired thought beyond the physical.
Now, what do you think their purpose is? Let's take them one at a time. Angels, what is the purpose of an angel?
Well, the primary purpose of angels is down here to help us, and they act as messengers between the physical and the spiritual world. So, for instance, many of us are familiar mostly with guardian angels that watch over us, and they actually do that, and they are our protectors. And, for instance, there's Michael, the archangel, who's said to watch over people who are given, their life and their heart to God or to spirit or to good in the last days.
All right, now demons. What role do demons play in our life?
Well, one of the most amazing things that you might come to find out is that the word demon is not even in the Bible, but it's considered a biblical term. And demons, or the word comes from the Hebrew or Greek translation, meaning evil spirits or devils. And the role that they play in our life is primarily to keep us from the light, or to keep us from God, or to keep us from good. They present us with challenges and difficulties in our everyday life. They keep us tormented psychically or through our mind, and make us continue to feel sorry for ourselves, play the victim role, and stay stuck in a place of fear instead of love. And the angels or demons are also angels that have left their first estate, because we all have a choice in God's world. That's one thing that love does, is it always gives us a choice. Angels are created beings, and they had a choice as well. And there were some angels that didn't choose to continue to worship God. And there are some angels, that's all they do. There's at least 7 or 8 levels of angels. Some say there's 10. I've heard as much as 20, in the spiritual world. But some of them are chief messengers. Some of them are actually ones that are closest to the throne of God, which are called seraphim. And the 5th order would be virtues and dominions, which are the 4th highest angels to God. And they all are subservient to the ones above them. And then we have angels that come down into our side of this reality on earth, that go back and forth, that are messengers. So I look at it, if you want an easy way to understand it, like the body. We have a body on the outside that you see.
Yes.
But inside is all these intricate parts working that you don't see. You see what I mean? We have our central nervous system.
Right.
We have our cells, and they all act as messengers. We have neurotransmitters that act as messengers. And so in the same way, when I was a kid, I used to always wonder, how does God do everything? Like when I pray, how does he hear my prayer and your prayer? And how does he, bring me my favorite guitar for Christmas? Or, how does he do all these crazy, wonderful things that we can't even fathom? But indeed, he works through angels. And there's record angels that record every single thing that we do, every single thing that we say. And so every single prayer that we utter, so there are angels that are here to assist us when we go through difficult times in our lives. And so they're all over, and they have specific functions that they do, just like our body has arms and legs and have specific functions. And so that's how God works. He works through his angels and through his system, that he has established.
What do angels look like? We've seen paintings by the masters of these magnificent winged messengers. I've had people on the show. One lady told me that she has seen angels 60 feet tall, and then another lady says they're very small. Other ladies and angel people say they fit on your shoulder. What does an angel look like? Or is it what we want to see them as?
That's a very good question, and I believe that the answer is that angels can take on any form that they so choose to. And angels are very powerful, and the Bible describes them in their natural state as a ball of fire. It also describes the seraphim, the ones that are closest to the throne of God, as having several wings, several eyes, several faces. But the angels that come down to us to visit us, they take on always a loving form, one that won't terrify us, and one that we can easily embrace. So sometimes you might see angels with wings. Sometimes you might just see a very bright light or personification of a person. And angels have been known to take on forms of human beings, even though they've never actually incarnated as people before. Angels will always be angels, and people will always be people. So they can take on the form of an angel. If you remember the Genesis story, when the serpent was an angel, or Lucifer, he took on the characteristic of a serpent, which is a snake.
Right.
And so we can see that they have the ability to transform, which is what a lot of people are referring to as shape-shifting today. So they can take on any form, basically, that they choose to in order to interact with us.
Now, spirit guides, is there a difference between a spirit guide and an angel? And if so, what is that difference, and how do they speak to us?
Okay, spirit guides have experienced at least one incarnation. And spirit guides and angels, I would say, where angels have the ability to go back and forth, I would say that a spirit guide is one entity that would be stationary and be around us at all times, you see. In our life before we came here, we had an existence, and I guess to understand spirit, we live backwards. We believe that we are human beings that sometimes have spiritual experiences, but it's the opposite. Indeed, we are spiritual beings that have come down into this earth to have a human experience. And so before we came down into this earth, we were already spiritual beings, and spirit is eternal. The outward body is finite, but spirit is eternal. Our spirits existed before we came into the flesh, and they'll exist after we come into the flesh, you see. So our spirit guides, when we come into the flesh and when we're born, so to speak, we go through, or we are put on a veil of what's called a veil of forgetting. And so we forget that we existed before we were here. But see, before we came here, we actually we sat down and we determined what our life would be, what our challenges would be. We picked everything from our bodies, our parents, our illnesses, all of our challenges, the amount of children we would have. And this was a very difficult concept for me to embrace in light of all the things that I endured. For me to be able to say, I asked for this. And so our spirit guides, don't forget, they write our chart, our life chart with us before we come here. And so when you have actual moments of deja vu or experience coincidences or have reminders of, for me, a reminder would be 6/19, which is my birthday. And when I began to really ask and pray for what my purpose was in life, I kept seeing 6/19 everywhere, where I looked at least 3 times a day. And so finally I kept asking, why do I keep seeing my birthday? And it reminded me, the answer came, was purpose. You're here for a reason. And so when I accepted that as a sign that I left for myself, that I'm here for a reason, and don't forget to focus on my purpose, then I began to ask what that was, and the answers began to come to me through my spirit guide. And the more that we allow and are open to that spirit guiding us, the more it does, and the more that we train ourselves to listen to it.
Do angels also come back to us and come to our lives in animal form? For example, a dog, a cat,
No.
a bird?
No.
No,
Those are all different types of spirits, and they have, people have angels. I mean, people have animal spirits that, for me, mine is a horse, that is it's said that they are on the other side also our companion animal. And I think if you can have an idea of what animal you always feel the closest to in this life, for me it was horses. And I think cats have a lesson for me also, because I've always had, as a young girl, negative experiences with cats. And then a couple years ago, my neighbor brought one to the door, and I embraced it. And it was a type of resolve for me. They're so wise, and they have their own purpose. They have their own spirit, so they can never, angelic spirit can never be housed in an animal body or a bird's body. But I do believe that they can receive wisdom and guidance in how to interact with us, and they have made some type of agreement to do that or to be that for us in this life.
All right, Vivian, please stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation Vivian Gale is my special guest this hour. She's the author of Fart in the Wind. And Vivian and I will be back on the other side of this break. Her website is www.viviangale.com. VIVIANGALE.com. This is the X Zone. We're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and X Zone Broadcast Network. We'll be back after the news. Don't go away.
It was a terrifying experience.
I thought we was going to go to jail for murder.
That day, we were a little behind, so we worked until it was starting to get dark.
We loaded up the equipment and hadn't driven very far when we caught glimmers of this glow coming through the trees. I urged Mike to hurry up and get up there.
Travis had the door open before we even stopped. As he got closer, I heard the sound.
One of the guys said, "You feel that?"
I really panicked then.
I told him, "Get the hell out of here."
It didn't come directly to me, it came to a deputy sheriff.
Three of us volunteered right away to tell him what had happened.
Sheriff Gillespie definitely didn't believe it.
He says that we better be certain because we can get in a lot of trouble.
When we went to search the next day, they split us up, and the whole time the deputies asked me, if you just tell us where the body is, we can all go home and get this over with.
We're talking about 100 people. Combing through the wooded area, nothing turns up.
All week long, I've been hearing they're going to set it up to make you guys look guilty.
We're a rough-looking bunch then. Some of us have been in trouble with the law before.
And y'all ain't never going to come out of that jailhouse.
We couldn't get out.
I tried to sneak out the back door the day of the polygraph test. I was scared to death.
On top of that, you have media.
I literally would be on 2 telephones at the same time.
We've even got some coops in here now that's coming in and out to see the freak show, as they call it.
Everyone descends.
I just wasn't going to stand there and listen to it anymore.
Granny says, "This is Travis. I'm back. I need help." When I did hear that he had been returned, it was almost as unbelievable as the original thing.
I just looked at my mom and says, "I told you we didn't kill him."
Travis Walton reappeared after several days with a bizarre story about a ride in an unidentified flying object.
People were desperate to explain it away. Why are you sticking up with Travis for all this time? You know this really didn't happen.
What happened to Travis after we took off in that truck, I can't tell you.
I hated Travis for a long time after this. My whole world just tore up.
But I believe every word Travis said about it. He's never lied to me about nothing.
It's a net negative. We lost our jobs in the immediate aftermath.
And now you're not able to talk about it with anyone because you know that they're going to laugh at you, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
But if you don't come out and tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you. There's a degree of responsibility. Certainly I have to accept the bad. If I can direct what's happened in a way that I can make something good happen in the world, I'm looking for it.
Order your copy of Travis, The True Story of Travis Walton, today at www.traviswaltonthemovie.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. This is the Talkstar Radio Network and the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And I'd like to say hello to a couple of our affiliates, KOHI in St. Helens, Oregon, and our good friends at KHRO in El Paso, Texas, and AM 580 CFRA in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada's nation capital. Our toll-free worldwide number is 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Vivian Gale. She is a counselor, author, inspirational speaker, and addiction music therapist. She's also the author of Fart in the Wind, an emotional and spiritual guide to effective and graceful communication with anybody, which examines the whole experience of man by focusing on our communication with self, God, and others. Vivian has worked as a counselor for 12 years and has blended her love for people and the gift of music and writing. Vivian Gale is now establishing herself as an addiction music therapist, inspirational speaker, and author. And once again, her website is www.viviangale.com. Vivian, let's talk about ghosts, because people always talk about ghosts. And why are ghosts so popular these days? I remember when I was a kid, the last thing you'd ever want to talk about is a ghost, but now everybody's talking about ghosts.
Yeah, I think the more conscious that people are becoming of the spirit world, that ghosts are factoring in. And because we don't understand, the difference, and especially we don't understand what happens after we leave here.
Yeah.
And it goes back to choice, as I was saying earlier. So when we die, we still have a choice. We have a choice as to whether or not we want to go into the light or go to the other side. And that's where the light takes spirits. And as I said, when we die, or I don't like that word die, transform or transcend is a better word, because in reality there's no such thing as death. So when we transcend, we leave the flesh behind, and our spirit is free. And our spirit has a choice to go into the light, or our spirit has sometimes they choose to stay here. And that's what we call disembodied spirits. Excuse me.
Sure.
And so some spirits, for a variety of very personal reasons, see the tunnel and reject it. And maybe it's because they still have a connection here, or they're concerned about a loved one. And actually, sometimes they don't know that they're dead, and they don't accept the reality that they are dead. And so, unfortunately, there are people here who work. I know there's this show on television that comes on now called The Ghost Whisperers.
Yes.
And she actually can see the ghost, and she helps them resolve their issues that they have here with their loved ones, and then she helps them go to the other side. So actually, on the other side, it's said that there are actually entities there that are trying to help those earthbound souls also get back to that place. So it's not anything that we need to be afraid of once we know, because fear comes from not understanding or not knowing, and their intention is not to harm us, but ghosts can take possession of a house if they lived there before, if they connected to that house. And when people come and move into that house and the ghost is not happy with them being there, then they will start manipulating things in the environment to cause the people to want to leave or to feel uncomfortable so that they can leave. And it can be a very dangerous situation, because our spirits are, well, in life there's a potential for good and evil in everything. And by design, we've got the yin, the yang, the good, the bad, the positive, the negative, in everything, even in the atom that exists.
A neutron,
we see
proton,
yes, positive, and we have a nucleus. And I think that nucleus represents choice, you see, and so we always have a choice, and so do spirits. And just like you have people in your life today, Rob, that are very nice and kind and have a relationship with God or a spirit, and they're constantly cultivating, their relationship and becoming the best people they can be. Well, there's other people or spirits that have accumulated negative energy that are filled with anger, and so they are angry spirits or evil spirits. And so the same thing is in the ghosts and the spirit. It's the same thing with people. So if you have ghosts in your house that are unfriendly, then you can experience a lot of hard times and need to hire a professional to come in and help you get rid of those spirits.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned the other side. Where is the other side, and what is the other side?
Well, it said that the other side is actually 3 feet above our Earth. And I know when I first started reading about this, I felt like this is ridiculous. Who can ever believe such a concept? Can you identify with that?
I sure can.
But today with quantum physics and quantum theory, they're actually finding out that we live in a parallel universe. You see, and when you think of it as we are, we have a spiritual body before we come here, and we put on the flesh. And so there's an element of ourself that's left behind in the spirit world where we're actually connected to. And that's that spirit that we're connecting to when we dream and we feel like we're having an experience somewhere else. A lot of times that's actually happening, on the other side, because everything that exists in this world, in the physical reality, has a counterpart in the spiritual world. So there's a spiritual imprint for everything that exists in the spiritual world, and indeed there has to be. One cannot exist without the other. It's like a blueprint.
Now, many people claim to have gifts. How do we know that a person really has a spiritual gift compared to a person who believes they have a spiritual gift, but they don't?
Okay, well, this is a very sensitive subject because you don't want to tell somebody, look, you're full of crap.
Well, that's putting it politely, yeah.
Yeah, take the high road. You're on the low road. You know what I'm saying? But I think there's a difference between a spiritual gift and the way to look at it is this. A spiritual gift is something that is God-given, that you're born with. It's not anything that you can go to a school and learn. There are some things called divination, that the Bible speaks about that we should stay away from, like self-professed fortune tellers, self-professed mediums, healers, shamans, some psychics, even they go to school, they take classes to learn because they want to be those things, but they are not those things naturally. All the experiences that I've had in the spiritual world have always just happened. I'll give you an example. For instance, in my work as a drug and alcohol counselor, a lot of times when I was doing group or individual sessions, I'm getting insight into a person's point of pain. And for instance, I was looking at a woman one time who refused to participate in group. She sat on the outside, and I didn't force her. But Spirit gave me knowledge that she was angry with God because she lost her son and she lost her husband. And so after the group was over, I went and I sat next to her, and I took her by the hand, and I told her, that Spirit told me that she was angry with God because she lost her husband and she lost her son. And she started weeping, tremendously. Yeah. And she asked me, how did I know? And I said, well, because Spirit told me. And when afterwards, the program director told me that she hadn't opened up to anybody since she had been there. And see, this is the way Spirit works when it's for the good of other people. It's not to try and, become rich or famous or, and there's dark entities too, that come into a person. And ghost, for instance, can come in and give false, actually they can heal, they can do a lot of things, evil spirits and ghosts, through people to mislead them through these fake fortune tellers and people that do all types of predicting the future through communications with spirits of the dead. And there's so many types of divination that are really funny. I mean, like reading of the forehead, or back in the day, there was something called gyromancy, a long, tedious process where they were a distant relative of a Ouija board, and the client would walk around this circle of letters to the point of dizziness, and prophecies are spelled out from the letters on which the dizzy client begins to stumble.
Oh, brother.
So, and there's also something that was fortune telling through the movement of live fish, reading messages in live smoke, You know, so reading tea leaves and stuff like that. These are things that people really, manufacture.
Well, tell me, Vivian, based on your many years' experience, what are Ouija boards? Do Ouija boards actually open up a porthole to another dimension, or are they just a manifestation of an over-imaginative mind?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. Ouija boards actually do open up a portal to another dimension, and it's never been a good experience for anybody I've known that's ever played with them. It's always been very scary. And you see, spirits have knowledge too, and they can give you bits and pieces of truth. You know what I'm saying? And so the evil entities, when you play with Ouija boards and stuff like that, it's like you're setting a spirit free into your reality, where before it didn't have permission. You see what I'm saying? Because even when you have ghosts in your house, you have permission to tell them to get out.
Right.
See, a lot of people won't do this because they're afraid, and sometimes if you're not strong enough spiritually, you shouldn't even try, because if you anger the spirits, you see what I'm saying? And so this is why we have to continually develop, our spiritual selves and our connection with our higher power.
Now, we talked briefly, as I was doing your introduction, about exorcisms. Tell me about your experience with exorcisms, because, exorcisms were very popular years ago when The Exorcist came out, the Amityville movie, and, Hollywood focuses their spotlight on the paranormal once in a while, and then people go whole hog on it. But what was your actual realistic experience with exorcisms?
Well, I would say the first memorable experience I had is when I was 19, and I was going to get baptized. And the week before, I was taking for 2 weeks a class on Daniel and the Revelation on Bible prophecy. And towards the last 3 or 4 days before I was to get baptized and to finish that course simultaneously, every night when I went home, there is something would happen to me. For instance, I was carrying my younger daughter, and it was kind of dark, and the light was coming through the window, and the iron was on the ironing board, but it wasn't plugged in, but it leaped out and hissed at me.
Wow.
And it almost burnt me on my arm. And so I put my daughter to bed, and at the time I was staying with one of my sisters, and I was sleeping upstairs in the attic. And so I went upstairs, and for every night, for the last 3 nights, my bed would shake. Well, every time I got in the bed, it would just shake, and I was scared. At the same time, I'm learning, a lot about the Bible and what it was saying about some of these things. And, so I'd go back to the guy who was teaching the class, the course, and I told him what was happening, and I wanted him to come so bad, and exorcise these demons. And he told me to go to my pastor, so I went to my pastor. My pastor wouldn't come. I went to my brother-in-law. Nobody would come. All these people who profess to have a relationship with God wouldn't give me even a good reason why. And so I started getting on my knees with my Bible open and just commanding them spirits to leave while the bed was shaking. I had to just sit there. Sometimes I was scared and I was trembling, but then finally I just said, you know what, get out, and finally it stopped and it went away, and I remember when I was since I moved here in Washington, I went to some Bob Larson seminars, and Bob Larson is a Christian.
I know Bob very well. Bob's a good friend of mine.
So I went to a few of his seminars and workshops and actually watched him exorcise demons out of people. And another time I was speaking at a women's retreat, and I was telling my story of how I was abandoned and incested. And while I was sharing my story, women just started screeching out in the audience. They were actually demon-possessed, and because they were holding on to all these things and resentments and pain from their past. And see, that's a stronghold, that the devil or evil spirits can have over you.
Vivian, please stand by. You and I have to take our final break. Vivian Gale is our special guest this hour, Exo Nation. www.viviangale.com. That's VIVIANGALE.com. And Vivian and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and the Exo Broadcast Network. Don't go away.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
What happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. Vivian Gale is our guest this hour, Exo Nation. She is a counselor, author, inspirational speaker, and addiction music therapist. Her website is www.viviangale.com. Vivian, with all the negativity that you deal with as a counselor, an addiction counselor, and the exorcisms that you do, how do you protect yourself?
Okay, well, first and foremost, is I maintain a close personal relationship and, with God or my higher power, and whatever it is that you choose to call God. My philosophy is surrender as much of yourself as you can to as much of God as you understand. You don't have to take on anyone else's philosophies or beliefs about God or existence. You develop your own, and as much as you can, submit yourself to what it is that you currently believe in. It will grow. You see, and I learned some other tricks, though, from reading Sylvia Brown, and one of them is to imagine myself in a protected bubble, and I use that because I'm very empathic, and I pick up on emotions of other people, and I pick up on spirits, negative energy, and so it causes me to become very weak when I'm trying to minister or work with people. And but it's also helpful in that it gives me an insight into where and what to address. And she also has another method in her book where you can imagine yourself standing in the middle of mirrors, tall mirrors, at least 8 feet tall. What the mirror itself, the reflection side, is facing outward. And her belief is that the evil spirits cannot penetrate that, the reflection in the glass. And so when you imagine yourself spiritually standing there, and I can say that I've actually felt some sense of relief after implementing those things, but I can also tell you that wherever it is that you're weak in your life is where you will experience attack. And when I became powerful in my awake life, then I started experiencing evil attacks in my dream or in my sleep life. And so what helped me during those times was just what my mother taught me, calling on the name of Jesus.
It works.
And it works, and I think there's some level, Rob, to whatever it is that you do believe to do it.
Vivian,
and that is what.
Vivian, you and I have just run out of time for tonight,
Okay.
but I want to thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your experience and your love with the Exo Nation. Let our listeners know how they can find out more about you and get a copy of your book, Fart in the Wind.
Okay, Fart in the Wind, you can find it on my website, viviangale.com. You can Google me. You can find it on Amazon. It's an emotional and spiritual guide to effective and graceful communication with anybody. And there's also a 1-800 number you can call. And
that's 1-888-311-6639. Vivian, thank you very much. You take care of yourself. Keep the great work up, and always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Bye-bye. Now, once again, Vivian's website is www.viviangale.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, here in the X Zone.